Good morning, everyone. Robin Shea here. Welcome to Before the Fork, the 28-day experience. And it is late morning, excuse me, on day 18. So here we are. You know what? Is it day 18 or day 17? Yikes. Hang on. I'm going to look here and double check. You guys are seeing me. Oh, it's day 17. Okay, I'll go back and correct that so we don't lose where we are. Today has been one of those mornings. It started off perfect, and then before I knew it, I had forgotten to do something very important for one of my husband's businesses, and it was like an hour's worth of computer work that I had to do, and it had a deadline. So I was like, oh, how did I forget to do that? So I had to rush back and get that done. And then we supply all of the Gatorades and drinks for the kids at for football games. I had to get that to the school, so I had to go to Costco or Sam's rather, get 8 cases of different types of sports drinks for the kids, bring those up to the school. So anyway, this hair is fresh out of the shower, not dry, but we'll get to the hair when we can get to the hair. But I wanted to jump on because I know it's gotten late into the morning, and that's not supposed to happen, but sometimes life happens. So today's message is really going to stay true to the book, and it's page 217. And it's about the very, very popular phrase that we've heard everywhere. There's little graphics and GIFs made about it. And it is that comparison is the thief of joy. And that's where the quote typically ends. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I have come to realize that comparison alone is not the thief of joy. So if that statement was whole in and of itself, then it would be implying that everyone that compares is comparing from their egocentric hindbrain, survival, hi Tammy, very unevolved self. And when you compare from that person, then comparison most often is the thief of joy. But if you can learn to use comparison in the healthy way that as a higher evolved, as a more aligned human can use comparison, comparison can be a roadmap to your success and not the thief of your joy. So I want to go over exactly what I've written in the back of the book, and I want to give you some real life comparisons to what I'm speaking to. We come to know ourselves by comparing ourselves to others. And it's not until we attach a judgment to our comparison that it becomes toxic. So, hi, Deborah. So a judgment-free comparison can be a wonderful roadmap to a desire that you would like to attain, something you would like to attain. Hi, Michelle. So there's a very, very thin veil between healthy comparison, which is done from the desired self, from your alignment with God, and an unhealthy comparison that is born out of red and yellow zone, low vibration, underdeveloped, egocentric type comparison. So the upside of healthy comparison is that it gives you an opportunity to gather information, a really great opportunity for a reality check. So this is when you check in with you and say, ugh, maybe they've achieved that because they've done things that up to this point I've been unwilling to do. So it's a great reality check, and can be an amazing boost in motivation. Okay, so those are 3 things that you can look at when you're making a comparison in your life from a healthy perspective. Are you gathering information about how you could do it differently to achieve the result that you're wanting? Is it pointing out areas of your life that you just at this point haven't been willing to commit to? And is it boosting you to cultivate a better best of yourself? Okay. Now let's look at the downside of toxic comparison. You gather information to use against yourself to further justify where you are or to further justify your ego being better than. Okay, and I'll get back to that in just a second. It's a reality check into your limits. So you identify what you're not doing, but you follow up what you're not doing with a laundry list of why you can't do it. So it's cementing you into excuses. Okay, that's when you know it's born from the red and yellow zone. And finally, it's a demotivator because it leaves you with a sense of hopelessness. So let me tell you a little bit about how I compared myself when I was a young girl. For those of you that tuned in late, this hair is a result of a morning gone crazy. And I'll be getting back to this mess up here in a little bit. I'm not going to tackle my day outside of these walls, except for Sam's. I did go to Sam's like this. So here's kind of a reality check of something that I did when I was a young girl. If you've read the book, then you know the story about me watching Charlie's Angels. I was 8, 9 years old. I was very much a makeup, dress clothes kind of kid. And I remember looking at those amazing, beautiful, beautiful, amazing women. And because I had an underdeveloped ego and I had, very shaky self-acceptance and self-love, I looked at those girls in the show. I admired their beauty. I just thought they were stunning creatures. And I never, ever, ever felt I could measure up to what they had to offer, to their aesthetic beauty. Not to mention that was incredibly under-evolved. It's just a sign of the times. And poor girls today, they're, the Charlie's Angels, they were just beautiful women. They weren't photoshopped. Today's girls, imagine being a young girl now and looking on Instagram, Pinterest, wherever you go for your social media feed and seeing truly fictitious beauty that is unattainable by anyone. Imagine an unhealthy psyche in a young girl's life and what she's looking at that she may not feel she could ever measure up. Anyway, wow, that's a whole nother topic there. But I compared myself to these beautiful women. And because of where I was in my emotional, underdeveloped ego or super ego, very underdeveloped super ego, full of a lot of negative self-talk, I said, I can never achieve that. And because I could never achieve that, I was always lesser than in my eyes. So I didn't look at my own beauty. I didn't look at, well, let's see, I like the length of their hair. Well, I could grow my hair out like that. So it wasn't about molding me into the best me visually. And I hate to give such a shallow example of toxic comparison, but it is a reality that we do that. So I didn't look at the areas of my life, like, well, they're very physically fit. I could cultivate my physical fitness. I love the sporty look of their clothes. I could dress sportier. So I didn't look at it from a healthy comparison. I looked at it from a very toxic, underdeveloped approach to it. And it was incredibly self-sabotaging for me as a young girl because I never recognized my inner beauty. Let's see. Michelle says, we used to play Charlie's Angels all the time. Oh, I know who you were. I know exactly who you were, Michelle. And you are beautiful. You're every bit as beautiful as Jacqueline Smith ever thought about being. Deborah says, I even had my hair cut like Farrah Fawcett hairstyle. Oh, girl, I did too. I mean, I straight up did. As a matter of fact, one of those haircuts was done by yours truly, and I botched it, and I had to have all my hair cut off. So, yeah, we were all into the Charlie's Angels. They were kind of a new level beauty out there. So you'll know when you're comparing yourself, when it's a healthy comparison, when it feels innocent and observant, and you're observing a situation in order to garner skills, in order to look at tactics, in order to carve and write your own map to where you're going. It feels innocent. It feels empowering because it's like, oh, I've got a little bit of a roadmap to where I want to go. So you walk away from a healthy comparison with a sense of empowerment because you have a more clearly defined way of getting to where you want to go. When it's a toxic comparison, it feels competitive and it evokes feelings of superiority or inferiority. So those are the two emotions that come out of a toxic, unhealthy comparison. And we're all guilty of doing that to a degree. Perhaps you've done it in your parenting where you see another parent parenting and you're like, oh, I would never, ever do that. Or you look at how someone has loaded a plate up at a buffet and you're like, oh, 3 fried foods and rice. Yeah, you're doing great. And so you make these moral superiority comparisons because they pump up your ego and they make you feel better than the next guy, right? Or you have the ones, like in my case, where you walk away from the comparison feeling deflated, inferior, less than, smothered, all of those ugly emotions. Now, if you are in a habit of a superiority comparison, I'm just going to say that although we're all guilty of it, it sure is a great place to start cleaning up your street, your side of the street. It's really a great place to do some inner reflection when you catch yourself doing a superiority comparison because your ego needs a little bit of stroking. It might be a good time to drop to your knees and say a prayer of gratitude. We're all guilty of it. So not for 1 second do I want you to think that I'm coming at this from a superior perspective. We're all guilty of this, and I do it myself. I'll catch myself at the grocery store doing a superiority comparison. And now that I'm very aware that it is such an unevolved sense of ego, I really try to rein that in and not be that person. I don't want to be that person. So if you catch yourself doing superiority comparisons, it's a great place for us to start cleaning up our side of the street. And hopefully that will translate into other areas of your life. So I know that comparison is a part of life. It is customary out there with that meme that's floating around. Oh, I'm going to have to call honey back. Get right back to you, Greg Shea. You know, it's something that we all do. Comparison is such a natural part of our human nature. That's why, as in everything in human nature, you're working with poles. Life is built around poles and polarity. So you have toxic comparison on this end, you have healthy comparison on this end. So just to let that meme sit where it is, that comparison is the thief of joy, is an incomplete, inaccurate meme. It's an incomplete, inaccurate assumption that everyone is operating from the lowest denominator of the red and yellow zone, and that we have underdeveloped egos, and that all we're looking to do is compare ourselves so that we can either boost ourselves up or validate how crummy we really are. And that's not where all of us, I never want to assume that all of mankind is in the red and yellow zone of life, and it's not. There is a healthy comparison that propels us forward and helps us carve our own map into the desired self that we are so wanting to achieve. This is another reason why finding joy in the journey is everything. Comparison should feel good. So just check in with yourself. Let's look at comparison from a different vantage point. I hope this message served you today. I'm so sorry for the late start. I'm so sorry for the rummy appearance. It's just, this morning was one of those mornings that reminded me that more than most people, I'm human, and I fall short all the time. I fell short in 2 areas of my life this morning, and it bit me right in the butt. So played a little catch up, but I'm back now. So all is good. I'm going to go get my day started at 11:59. And I hope to talk to you. Well, I will talk to y'all tonight. Don't know what that looks like. Don't know where I'm going to talk to you from, but I will be here at some point this evening. You guys have a super great day. I love you all. Be blessed. And remember to go out today and be a blessing to someone else. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.